You are watching beIN Sports, talking to the world from our international broadcast centre here in Qatar. I'm Richard Keys.
I'm Andy Gray.
This is fascinating. Arsene Wenger talking to beIN Sports about the vacancy of England manager.
It's very important, I always said that, a country like England with a huge football passion, and as well the structure of a national team to me looks to be demands that the national guy from your own nation is the leader.
So for you it's better to have an Englishman?
I think it's better.
So you left the door slightly open with that last answer?
Yes, absolutely. I, like him, think it would be better if it was an Englishman, but if it wasn't, I can't think of too many better foreigners who know English football better than Arsene Wenger.
Also on our show tonight, we'll be talking to Cliff Jones, legendary Tottenham winger who was part of the double-winning team back in 1961. The original Gareth Bale, they're calling him as he launches his book. Aged 81 now, he tells some fascinating stories in that publication, and I hope that we'll be regurgitating one or two of them with him a little later. Daniel Amokachi, former Everton striker, Nigerian by birth, one of a handful of African coaches, less than double figures, actually working in the game around the world now. He's taken a job in Finland at Oulu, 175 miles south of the Arctic Circle. Daniel joins us to tell us why. And also, John Collins, the former assistant manager at Celtic, on Kara Dembele, this 13-year-old sensation who was playing for Celtic's under-21s last week.
Extraordinary.
They've likened him to Messi. You can see why, can't you?
Oh, you can. He travels with the ball, that's for sure. It's a sensational story, really
13.
is. Yeah, unbelievable.
John Collins later. John Cross, of course, chief football correspondent of the Daily Mirror. And this is what we were doing last week on Keys and Gray. Wherever in the world you are, it's great to have your company. You are watching beIN Sports.
You know, entrapment has won on this occasion.
Big Sam, gone. It has been an extraordinary week.
Well, I'm hoping it will kind of end this week because it's been a bad week, I think, for football.
I can believe anything the FA decide to do.
I think the buzzword at the FA at the moment is integrity, and integrity was the word that did for Big Sam.
The genesis of most of the problems culturally around the finances of football are agents.
Did the FA do enough this week to defend their man?
I can only imagine the rest of the world, including certain people inside FIFA, may have a mild smirk on their face.
I've seen you score from a corner, directors Xavi just did. But as for 100 keepy-ups, I don't think you can do 10 these days.
And the fact that vested interest will not deal with this and will not stamp it out beggars belief.
How have you taken to it, Graham? Have you enjoyed every minute of it?
Yeah, apart from getting sacked last year.
Certain things certain gentlemen should not do. Dads should not dance at weddings.
Correct.
And Rafa Benitez should not wear shorts and a cap. We're laughing at Graham Alexander's first answer. I think it had temporarily slipped Andy's mind that he'd been sacked by Fleetwood at the back end of last
job.
week.
He was enjoying that. I wasn't asking about his last one. Of course, what is he going to say? Have you enjoyed it? Yeah, apart from getting sacked. Oh, okay. Thanks very much.
A number of articles from this week's press that I just wanted to point out. Some that we've been close to Andy, others not necessarily so. Pep Guardiola talking about the Johan Cruyff book, which is getting much publicity at the moment, saying, I simply owe what I know about football to Cruyff.
Yeah.
Before meeting
Get
him,
that, yeah.
I knew nothing.
Getting that.
Lovely tribute.
Yeah, fantastic.
There we go. I knew nothing. Cruyff opened up a whole new world for me.
Yeah, definitely.
This I thought was interesting as well. Guardiola bans Wi-Fi at Manchester City's training centre. Now, I'm not technically very adept, but if I turn my Wi-Fi off, I tend to end up on 4G, but it still works. So don't you think that his young football acolytes might not be thinking the same way? OK, you've turned that off, but I'm still able to talk to whoever I want.
I've got a simpler solution.
What?
I've got a simpler solution. Pep, turn the phones off. Turn them off. I mean, I've never believed, I think that's one of the things that the modern day footballer doesn't do, that's talking off to his teammates and his mates. They're too busy on the phones.
Well, we've spoken to Ronald Koeman about that on this programme, of course, and he now has done at Everton exactly what he did at Southampton, which is ban headphones and telephones on the team bus when they go to games.
Yeah, I like that. I like it, and I think it trains you. Listen, you check in at 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning, whenever it is, you're training. you shouldn't be bothered about your phone. Your phone is the last thing that should be on your mind. Your concentration for the next 2-3 hours, however long it is you're there, should be simply put that phone off. There's nothing going to happen in the next 3 hours where I need my mobile phone. I'm going to concentrate on what I'm here for, to be a footballer. I think it's simple. Turn them off. I mean, I wouldn't have them.
It's as good as his word, by the way. I love it when we're out for dinner and he says, I hate it when people are on the phone through
correct.
and spends the evening on it.
No, I don't.
Aston Villa and Virgin Trains fell out this week over the appointment of a new Villa manager. This actually was really quite funny. They exchanged a number of tweets which were along the lines of, as you can see, Virgin Trains with Roberto Di Matteo leaving. The next batch of potential AVFC managers have just left for Birmingham New Street. Empty carriage. Villa, would our managerial candidates actually get here for interviews on time if they arrived via Virgin Trains? It ended up with whoever was tweeting on behalf of Aston Villa telling Virgin to get back in their quiet carriage.
Oh, well. Villa should just have ignored that.
Also, by the way, something we've been talking about here at beIN Sports for the last 6 months, the rest of the world has caught up with this week. Gianni Infantino talking about a 48-team World Cup at 2026. Those who watch us regularly will, I'm sure, remember Michel Salgado talking last year at the Euros about this possibility. The difference between what we have at the minute and a 48-team World Cup, he told us, is about 750 million sterling. That's why there will be a 48-team World Cup in 2026.
So it doesn't matter about the quality of the football?
Well, who's to say that 48 teams would negatively impact on the quality
ridiculous.
of the football?
I'm sorry, 48. 48 teams.
Yes.
Why don't we just
8 groups of
everybody?
5. 8 groups of 5. What's wrong
No,
with
it's
that?
not going to be 8 groups of 5. Funny enough.
That's 40.
Yeah. But it's not going to be 8 groups. It's not going to be groups anyway. There's going to be a knockout stage before the knockout stage, before the group stage.
Right.
To get rid of all the small teams. But it's a way of saying, OK, if you're the Faroe Islands or, you know, a small Liechtenstein.
I see nothing wrong with embracing change and bringing the smaller countries to the party.
Well,
nothing
listen,
wrong
60 then.
Well, it might well be when our time has come and gone that is the case.
It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. You just can't keep adding teams to a tournament to keep everybody happy. I'm sorry. You can't. And I'm speaking as a Scot whose team haven't been in a World or a European Championship since 1998.
You'd make that, though.
Well, I don't know.
England, of course, have a temporary manager at the moment. Here's Gareth Southgate talking about why he stepped up to the plate this last week.
I realised the last week has been a very difficult one for certainly for our organisation. I felt it was important to step forward in a leadership position at this moment in time, and very much looking forward to the challenge of working with the players over the next 10 days to get the results that everybody in the country wants. I think the role is an honour. You know, there's no question. I'm a proud and patriotic Englishman. I think the opportunity to do this is something nobody will ever be able to take away from me, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm excited by it. So, in my view, it's a wonderful job to have for whatever period of time.
5 weeks after he said, I don't want it. But Wayne Rooney also talking to the press this past week, Andy, saying that Big Sam buried him after the only game, of course, that Sam Allardyce was in charge of, the last one, when he made the remark that Rooney plays wherever he wants to. Ill-advised, perhaps. Wayne Rooney, as you can see this week, says he ultimately apologised, but it led to me getting slaughtered. When asked if you phoned Sam to wish him all the best, the answer was no.
Do you know, funny, when Sam said that, I didn't take that as a criticism of Wayne Rooney. You know, I think Sam was actually backing Wayne Rooney when he said, listen, Wayne can play wherever he likes. No, I don't think that was...
Did he say can or did he say plays?
No, I thought he said can.
Because there's a difference, isn't there?
Well, that's what I thought. I thought he said he can play wherever he likes. Can play wherever he likes. That's how I heard it, but how I read it. Maybe I misheard and I misread. I don't know. So, and there is a difference. But I thought he said about Wayne, if Wayne wants to play midfield, he can play midfield. Wants to play up front, he can play up front. He can play wherever. That's what I thought he said. Now, I didn't see anything wrong with that, and I didn't see it as a criticism of Wayne. And it is a bit disappointing that Wayne, if that's the case, wasn't big enough as England captain to pick up a phone and say, sorry, you've left your job, Sam. Even if he doesn't like him, still pick it up. You're a big one. You're England captain. You don't want negativity around you. Pick it up and say, sorry, it didn't work out.
It did lead to an avalanche of criticism, though, and from that point of view, you can understand why he was perhaps a little
Wayne's
sensitive.
been under an avalanche of criticism for the last, what, year?
No, I would say
Continually.
for the last 15 years, ever since he made his debut for Everton.
No, he's not.
Some
He's
have
not.
never given the lad
But
room
particularly
to
England.
actually enjoy his career.
Listen, he's your top goal scorer, and he still has to justify his selection in the squad. And he's your captain. I don't get it.
You are watching Keys and Gray on beIN Sports, wherever in the world you are. It's great to have your company. Much to come tonight, including John Collins on Celtic's new teenage sensation. We'll be talking to Cliff Jones, legendary Tottenham winger, the original Gareth Bale. John Cross will join us very shortly as well, Daily Mirror's chief football writer. And when we come back, we'll be hearing more from our exclusive interview with Arsene Wenger.
Spain versus Mexico. FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. Today, live and exclusive on beIN Sports 11.
The best children's entertainment is all in one place. With 10 channels devoted to kids, beIN is the only place to be.
This is awesome!
Let your little ones play, interact,
I am legendary.
learn, and be entertained.
I just gotta know what's happening here.
As the beIN family grows bigger, your family grows happier. beIN. Be amazed.
We'll think of an idea to entertain everyone.
New Zealand versus Jordan. FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. Today, live and exclusive on beIN Sports 13.
It was untenable because if he stayed in charge, I think every press conference, every time England prepares for a game, the subject would have come up again, you know. And I think Sam Allardyce himself acknowledged that he made a mistake and that for him it would be difficult to stay.
Have you been contacted about the England job since this happened?
No.
Would you like to add anything to that answer?
No, not really. You know, think personally, I want England to do well, and I think it was a story that was a shock for me because I thought Sam Allardyce had the right level of experience and authority to do well with England. I think Roy Hodgson was a bit unlucky in the last two tournaments, that at some stage a guy of experience like Sam Allardyce could have helped to push that through and to get a good tournament.
How important is it, in your opinion, that England has an English manager?
It's very important. I always said that a country like England with a huge football passion, and as well the structure of a national team to me looks to be demands that the national guy from your own nation is the leader. If you think that you tomorrow coach of France and you play against England, when the national anthem is played of England, you cannot sing it, and you cannot sing of the anthem as well of the team that you're leading. So it looks to me a bit strange, you know, and that's why I think I like what is logical.
But for some people, it's logical that you may be approached by the FA because your contract is up at the end of the season and you're very respected in England, and for some people it seems a good fit, Arsene Wenger as England manager.
Yes, I thought you would say that I'm half English now because I'm there for 20 years, but look, everybody has an opinion in that, but I just gave you my feeling.
So for you, it's better to have an Englishman?
I think it's better.
How close have you been in the past to taking this job?
Look, it's quite simple. My first priority was always Arsenal. And the second thing I would have considered was to stay in England. It would be difficult for me to manage another English team. And so the second possibility would have been England. But my priority was always my club.
Is Gareth Southgate the right man for the England job long term?
I hope. I think he has the intelligence, he has the knowledge. He is now for quite a long time at the federation. I believe individually as a man he has the qualities to do well, yes. I hope, one thing I forgot when I speak about English football is that during the tournaments the pressure on the national team is absolutely magic and massive. And sometimes it looks like they auto-destroy a little bit themselves. I always felt during the tournaments that the pressure around the players was absolutely too big.
That's fascinating. Arsene Wenger talking this week to beIN Sports. John Cross, chief football writer of the Daily Mirror, joins us from London. John, listening to that, do you think Arsene Wenger has ruled himself out or ruled himself in for the England manager's job?
Yeah, it's a very good question, isn't it? I still think I think he's ruled himself out there with a small caveat, an asterisk at the top saying, if I was available, you never know. Look, I don't think he's going to be a next England manager, but what I think he's enjoying doing at the moment is fluttering his eyelids. What I thought that was fascinating with that interview was that I think he's pushed it even further than he's done on previous occasions to say that the England manager has to be English. He's made it very clear there that I think that gives him very little wriggle room. It's similar to what he said before, but I think it just takes it that much further. And I think there's an element at the moment that he's using the FA and the England job in his contract negotiations with Arsenal. But one thing I took from that interview there was that he must be very sure in his own mind that he's probably going to stay at Arsenal for another contract, because I think beyond that, I just feel that if he was free and available next summer, i.e. he was to leave Arsenal if this season hadn't gone that well, then I think the England job would be of great interest to him. John, at the moment, it sounds to me like it's just a theory.
John, I'm interested in your phraseology there, his negotiations with Arsenal, which suggests that that's already started, that process. Although Ivan Gazidis, the chief exec, has been saying, look, we're bigger than Wenger. Going forward, we have to and will survive without him. So where's the truth?
Yeah, listen, I know Ivan well, and Ivan will be mortified at some of the back page headlines, I think, this morning in England, because it does make a big thing of it. And I think I know where he's coming from on that. He's trying to say, look, one day we'll move on from it. My feeling is that while I think there's never been a greater chance of him leaving next summer, I still think all probability means or dictates that he will probably actually end up staying and signing a new 2-year contract, possibly more. Because I just feel that he feels that the team is on the verge of something special. He's probably felt like that for the last 20 years on each summer. But I just tend to think that he doesn't want to walk away from this. And also, don't forget, guys, that I do think he is money motivated. I do think he is, as we all are, obviously, but he's on £8 million a year at the moment at Arsenal. The FA, their last job went to Sam Allardyce for £3 million a year. Well, there's a big difference there. I mean, Arsene Wenger doesn't do these jobs for charity. He's a hard bargain, basically, when it comes to contracts. And I don't think that he would sort of kind of accept £3 million a year to do the England job. His priority, though, make no mistake about it, is to remain in charge of Arsenal.
I'm going to write the headline to what you've just said, John. Cross calls Wenger money mad.
Yeah. Money grabber. I think money grabber, I think, would be a better headline.
Well, trust me. I do detail this in some kind of detail in a very good book that all good bookshops there. But basically, I can tell you, a few years ago, that basically when he was earning so much money and word got back to Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, that he angrily went in Fergie to go and see David Gill at that time. And a call was made from David Gill to Arsenal hierarchy and Arsenal director to say, is this really true? you know, Wenger's surely pulling a leg here. And he was told, no, that is correct. Wow. That is what we're paying him. And Fergie, needless to say, got a pay rise as well.
I wonder what the new manager of Swansea is being paid. Here he is.
I think in recent years the football's been great, and so it's a club that not only has gotten results, but it's a club that has played passing football, fun to watch, and then most of all, then you know that it's a club that has such support, and so the connection between the club and the community and the kind of passion with the supporters, for me that is so important, and I am proud to be here and to work every day to make sure that we step on the field and always remember how much our team means for our supporters.
From an outsider, first of all, do you see this club as a club with plenty of potential?
I sure do. Again, I think the success in recent years, it's a small club in a way, but when you think about the kind of support and the kind of passion that people have, then the opportunity to grow and do big things, I think that's what everybody here wants to see.
John, what kind of reaction was there to Bob Bradley's appointment, and do we think he'll be a good fit at Swansea?
And he was so negative in the UK media. It was really interesting. I think that people saw it from a couple of points of view, that A, Ryan Giggs was in the mix and didn't get the job, and I think that was seen as a disappointment, which I'm not sure that should be right, you know, because I do think one paper this week reported it that Giggs interviewed badly. And I do think there was something in that. And he shouldn't, I think, being a fabulous player, automatically be a passport into top-class management. And that is exactly what Swansea are doing. I think other top-class players have moved down to the Championship and worked their way up. Yeah. So I don't think there should be this sense of entitlement always. And the other thing was that he's got the job because he's American, he's been in charge of the US national team, and Swansea's new owners are American, and that was seen as a real negative and some sort of nepotism. So I think the accusation is, well, he's never managed a club team in one of the top European leagues, which, again, I would have some sympathy for, but he is a vastly experienced manager. I do think Swansea have taken a gamble. It's gone down badly with Swansea fans, and I think it is a big risk. So I do think that Swansea, they need him to make a very strong start and a very strong statement. They've given him a 3-year contract, so they've certainly put a lot of faith in him. More faith in Guidolin, and Guidolin has his detractors, but Guidolin's run into last season was phenomenal. He lifted them from almost certain relegation around February sort of time towards very, very comfortable safety. And I do think that perhaps he deserved a little bit more time and a little bit more respect than he was offered by Swansea at the start of this season.
Just referring back to that interview we just heard with Bob, John, at least he called our national sport football, which is a good start, although I'm surprised you boys didn't leap all over him when he called Swansea a small club. Bradley disses Swans. As for Ryan Giggs, now, look, you and I may have to part company on this. My information is that he did not interview badly and that he's extremely disappointed by that article and intends this weekend on British TV to put it right. I, for one, am disappointed he didn't get it because he's British. And I think we've got a massive problem, John, with a lack of British coaches right now. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And listen, I think that the only thing I would say, actually, in fairness to Giggs, I do think that obviously I didn't write a piece saying that. And I think that obviously, I think that the Swansea camp, shall we say, realised they would take some stick over Giggs. And maybe that was their way of going back. I think there was
which is naughty, John, isn't it? If that happened, that's naughty.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know that there was some frustration and annoyance that story actually came out in the way that it did. And I think that they actually wanted to keep it, their view of that interview process, what they wanted to keep it quiet. So it wasn't malicious, I don't think, on their part. And shall we say, I decided not to write that. I mean, I just felt that you know, but I just do go back to the fact that the entitlement aspect, I think actually Phil Neville and Gary Neville, whatever you might think of them, at least they've kind of tried to begin their careers working their way up. Gary Neville, perhaps, you know, the obvious accusation, less so, because I think his first job in management was at Valencia, a huge European club, much bigger club than Swansea. But I do think that I just don't like this sense of entitlement, and I think that Swansea for Giggs would have been a better fit than Neville for Valencia. But I still feel that I don't think that Swansea should get perhaps the hammering that they have got this week. However, I do think Bradley represents as big a risk on a Swansea level as appointing Giggs would have done.
Just talking about Giggs, you talk about entitlement. I get that, John, but don't you think if Ryan was here, he'd be saying, "Hold on a minute, I spent the last 2 years working under Louis van Gaal at Manchester United. I wanted to take charge for 2-3 months at Manchester United. Don't you think that's in its way an apprenticeship? Coaching at Manchester United for 2 years, learning under Van Gaal, the most natural step would be not a huge club by any stretch of imagination, but Swansea would have been a natural step for him."
Yeah, look, I can see it from that perspective as well. I think we have a massive problem in getting our young managers into top-level management. And I think that well, I say managers, I mean potential managers, because some of them choose to go down a different route. I think Gary Neville needs to get back into management. I think he's shown enough potential to get back in, but I think he needs to do that at a championship club, for example. I'd love to see Jamie Carragher get into management, because I feel that football is missing something from Carragher, because I think he speaks with so much passion and so much sense.
Agreed.
That really he's got an awful lot to offer there. And I think that's a wasted opportunity. Similarly, I guess, with Giggs. I felt that some of the coverage this week, and maybe this is more of a media fault, actually, than Giggs' fault, I think almost overstepped the mark in that basically, why on earth are you betraying Giggs? Well, maybe they've just made it that choice. I think there's always going to be such a difficult choice for clubs. I mean, I speak to a lot of kind of, you know, people at every level through the game. And some of those people, some of those qualified and experienced managers who cannot even get interviews at League Two clubs is frightening and is shocking. And I just think that at the moment, football has a real problem. It's so competitive out there, because I do think we go on this sort of kind of merry-go-round where I think it's particularly in the Football League, if you last 2 years, you're a miracle worker, basically. But the familiar names keep on cropping up over and over and again. And what is that doing? That is cutting down the supply of available opportunities for young up-and-coming managers, which is such a great shame.
And just to defend Gary, John, I'm firmly of the opinion that Gary Neville thought he was the next England manager, and that's why he'd man-marked Roy Hodgson as he had done for the period of time that he did, and is a little miffed that natural process has stopped, crashed.
Yeah, absolutely crashed and burned.
John, listen, as ever, we're very grateful to you. Appreciate your time. We look forward to talking with you next week.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, John. John Cross from our beIN Sports studios in London. Yeah, I think that's why Gary took that job, because he'd been told you're next.
Natural progression. It would have been. That's what he would have thought.
Things changed in the hierarchy, then obviously the course of action that the FA were thinking about changed as well.
Changed as well, absolutely.
Anyway, when we come back, we'll be talking with a Tottenham legend, Cliff Jones, double winner in 1961. And also, we'll be talking about Mini Messi, Celtic's 13-year-old sensation. John Collins, the former assistant manager at Celtic, knows more about him than anybody, and he'll be talking to us.
Ivory Coast versus Mali. The African World Cup qualifiers. tomorrow, live and exclusive on beIN Sports 11. Spain versus Mexico. FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. Today, live and exclusive on beIN Sports 11.
You're watching Keys and Gray from beIN Sports. Now then, Cliff Jones, the original Gareth Bale, has a book out. Cliff, 81 these days, does not look a day older than he did when he was scaring defenders all over the world. And I say that, Andy, with a purpose, because this is a gentleman who once starred in that famous game against Brazil, Wales, and finished 1-0 to the Brazilians. But he'll tell you the story. He returned home for the station master to say, "Hi, Cliff, you back off your holidays again." Football in those days didn't quite mean the same as it does now. And Cliff joins us from his London home. Cliff, great to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Nice to be here. Nice talking to you.
So your game against Brazil all those years ago didn't quite mean the same as it might have done these days, did it?
Certainly was a different sort of wavelength, no doubt about that. And I have to say, I was down in Swansea yesterday. One of my pals, Mel Charles, has passed away, and I was down there for the funeral. And of course, he was part of that sort of tremendous sort of 1958 World Cup when we shook the nations to the core.
How are the memories of that tournament, Cliff? Are they still vivid?
Great memories, Andy. Yes, certainly. We were given no chances when we went out there. And we sort of took Brazil, the eventual winners, all the way. And I say to this day, if we'd had John Charles, who was one of our main players, he was injured in the quarter-final sort of playoff. I think we could have got some sort of result against Brazil. And that would have been a shock, wouldn't it?
What do you think about this comparison between yourself and Gareth Bale, Cliff? Do you think he's going to be flattered by this?
Yes, well, for start, I'm better looking than Gareth.
That's true, absolutely.
But he's a smashing young man, and I had a number of chats with him when he was playing at Tottenham. He's very grounded and respectful, and he's just one special player. And hey, for me now to be compared with him, I'm quite pleased about that.
And the book, Cliff, what inspired you to write it?
Well, a number of people have sort of been fine. I'm just one of them characters who don't like sort of getting involved with sort of words and stuff like that. But there's Ivan Ponton, he's a respected reporter. He's a huge Manchester United fan. He done Sir Alex Ferguson's, he done Bobby Charlton and Ryan Giggs. So I'm in good company there. So I decided, yes, it's time to do a book now, Cliff. Let's get it down on paper.
The problem is, Cliff, when you do a book, you've got to be very honest, and you have been, about alcohol particularly, which very nearly destroyed. Right. Yeah, it very nearly destroyed your life. But you've been clean now since what, 1985?
Since 1985, yes. Brilliant. That was my last drunk, as we say, and I'm still a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I go on a regular basis. And it certainly changed my life around because I was going nowhere, big time.
Did Greavesy help in that process, Jimmy Greaves?
Well, yes. My wife, she realised my problem. She got in touch with Jim, and Jim came to see me, and he saw all the signs there, and he said, "You've got a sort of lovely wife, a family, a home, a job. Do you want to lose them things?" I said, "Of course I don't want to lose them." He said, "You continue drinking, and you will," because he'd lost everything. He said, "The worst thing you will lose, Cliff, is your self-respect." And I said, "What do I do?" He said, "Go to Alcoholics Anonymous." And I said, "You must be joking." But of course, I've been there now for the last 30 years, and he was spot on.
Well, good luck to you. It shows tremendous character, Cliff, and it's I know it's a daily battle for someone who's suffered in the way that you have. It never leaves you. But look, you're still going to White Hart Lane. You're still there on match days, helping out with the hospitality.
Yes, I'm still there giving the fans my predictions, which is part of the match day experience. And they wait for my predictions do the exact opposite because Cliff, you're the worst judge.
Yeah, I've heard that, Cliff. I've heard that.
What do you make of new Spurs, Cliff? You boys were the last to win the title. Can this generation do it?
Certainly. I'm very excited about the team at the moment. Pochettino's got the players playing a high tempo of football, and they sort of good to watch, and they certainly are sort of a special side. And I'm very excited about the fact now that they could even sort of go and sort of win the Premiership.
And Cliff, there's a lot of scepticism about what I've just said. 81-year-old Cliff Jones. Can you confirm for me that you are indeed 81? Because you look nothing like it.
Well, I'm 81. Sometimes I feel 81 going on the golf course. My God.
You look magnificent, Cliff. You're looking unbelievable.
West Essex, and the 18th is uphill. They call it Cardiac Hill, and I'm always careful going up that hill.
Well, please continue to be so. It's an absolute pleasure for me and Andy to be able to spend time with you.
Cliff.
Thanks, Cliff.
And thanks very much. Enjoy talking to you, lads.
Thanks, pal.
Good luck with the book. Cliff Jones, legend.
Thank you.
And I meant that. Gareth Bale should be flattered.
Oh, can we see the book cover again?
Yes.
We've got the book cover. Can we put that book cover up? I just wanted to see. What? Look at the ball.
Yes.
Look at that. Look at the ball.
Good point.
Look at that. That does not look like football, does it? I hope that was after the game.
That actually looks like a pudding or a medicine ball. I used to have one like that, and we used to dub in it. Remember dubbing? You used to have to make it waterproof.
Because you put dubbing on your boots
yes,
as well.
The more water they absorbed, the heavier they got.
Oh, they were dreadful.
And they were awful.
Dreadful.
But you're right.
That's I mean, that there, leapt out at me, that. Looks so sharp, clean, everything. Never give them this old...
And these boys, him, Stanley Matthews, Tom Finney, they used to jink down wings with these things tied to their boots.
And it was so heavy, but that's what leapt out at me.
The good ones, of course, used to cross a ball like that with the stitching out so that
the centre forward didn't hit the lace, correct?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
No. I don't believe that story
That was
either.
way before my time.
Now then, Celtic, it would appear, have unearthed an absolute diamond. A 13-year-old called Dembele, who was playing for their under-21s this week. 13. Ivory Coast origin, born London, has spent now the best part of 5 years in Scotland, which means he qualifies to play international football, should that ultimately be the case for him, for 3 different nations.
Wow.
Kara Dembele.
He's only got one choice.
13. John Collins, the former Scotland winger, was with us here in Qatar last week. Didn't mention this, kept this a very close secret. And then this story exploded into the British media this past week.
I spent 4 hours on the golf course with him. He never mentioned it once.
No. By the way, John, how was his golf on that day?
Average, shall we say? Average.
No, thank you, John. It wasn't even that, and you know.
He kept going, he kept going.
John, where did this boy come from? Please give us the background.
Well, he came up to Glasgow, obviously his parents, and came in on trial, and straight away Celtic loved what they saw. I went in 2 years ago, and the first question I asked the head of the academy, any special players in the building, and he was the first name that came. And I've coached him. I've had him on the training pitch once last year. I did the strikers and the wingers and did a little session, and straight away his ball control, his touch, the way he could beat a man, manipulate the ball, stuck out like a sore thumb. So. But the most important thing is for this young kid is keeping his feet on the ground, continuing his work, listening to coaches, and not listening to too many agents or any agents, and because that is a danger now. It's a huge danger. He's no doubt he's got an agent already at 13. There'll be other agents talking nonsense to him. And it's big danger for him now because he's got to stay focused. He's only a kid.
John, is there any risk in playing him in an under-21 game?
Well, it was an under-20 game and he only got 10 minutes.
All right.
There was a reason behind it. It was an international week. All the under-19 and 18 players were away with the national team, so they were short in numbers. And it was a great opportunity to put the young boy on the bench, get him on the pitch. Great for the kid, experience. It's not going to do him any harm at all. No, it's only a short period of time.
Yeah.
As you've been talking, John, we've been looking at pictures at him. He looks strong. He moves beautifully. He has this explosive start from standing to lightning quick. I mean, he seems to have everything, but is in some ways that a danger that we're talking about him in those terms at this age?
Yeah, I think 100%. What we've got to remember is doing it against other children, kids. It's kids football. So to progress up the levels and then do it against men, it becomes harder as every year goes on. It becomes harder. The test will be as he gets older, and can he keep doing it? And the key is, there's no doubt, straight away he's got the talent of a first-team player. He can manipulate the ball, he can change direction. But the secret is, when does he shift the ball? When does he move it? At the moment, I would class he's dribbling maybe too much, but he can do it. And there's sometimes he should be playing it earlier. So the development process now with the coaches, can he learn when to dribble, when to pass, when to take 2 touches, 1 touch, when to take him on again. So this is the next 4 or 5 years of his development, but you don't want to take that excitement away from him. He's got a huge amount of confidence, and it's entertainers. That's what we want to see in the television, players that can make a difference. So
yes,
he's got talent, but it's continual progress we're looking for, and keeping his feet on the ground.
Just what we talk about talent, we can see that, the pictures we've been seeing there, the talent's unquestioned. Another part he's going to need if he's a footballer, and we don't know, you might know him better, personality-wise, has he got the personality, even at a young age, that suggests to you he can cope with this?
Well, I never spoke to him, but what I see on the pitch, I see a tenacious little player as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's knocked too far in front of him, he gets his shoulder in against the bigger boys and he's fine. So I like that side of him as well. That's an important part of it. He doesn't like getting pushed off the ball. He's got a little bit about him. So at the moment, he's ticking lots of boxes.
Yeah.
But again, the whole world's talking about him. Now everybody's going to watch him. The danger is now he tries maybe too hard to impress everybody rather than just doing what he's good at. So, but it's exciting for him, exciting for Celtic and Celtic supporters throughout the country.
And Scotland, of course, another future Scottish international.
You say Scotland, you see, that's where I would expect you to be an honest arbiter, John. And were his family to come to you and say, look, which country of the 3 should he be playing for? Scotland, yes, because he's been at school there for more than 5 years now, so he qualifies. Ivory Coast, obviously, through parental qualification. But he was born in England, if I'm not mistaken, so I can only imagine that he'd want to play for England, wouldn't he?
I can see where you're coming from, but once he's got used to that Scottish humour...
Correct.
And that brave heart,
that passion.
Being part of the Scottish family, hard to break away from that, I would imagine.
Yeah. I accept a lot of what you said, but Scottish humour, I've worked with this guy for 25 years. That rather passes me by, John, I have to say.
Yeah. How's your golf, Richard? How's your golf?
My golf this week was very good. Andy, as you well know, you've had personal experience recently. Not the best at the minute.
I'm just going to say, John, we played yesterday, and the bad news for Mr. Gray is I still haven't found it.
Oh, get yourself a couple of lessons.
No.
John, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, John.
Cheers, guys.
John
nice
Collins, former Scotland international, scorer once of the first goal at the World Cup finals, of course, against Brazil.
How was it? 98.
The penalty.
98.
Yeah, went on to lose
98.
it,
I was there. I was at the game.
Yeah.
I was behind the goal.
Yeah.
That was in Parc de France, but the Saint-Denis Stadium.
Yeah.
I was there. Yeah.
There you go. Still to come, we will be discussing the subject of Steve Bruce. Why? Well, right now, he is hot favourite to take the Aston Villa job. Yes, the former Birmingham manager, Steve Bruce.
Spain versus Mexico. FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. today. Live and exclusive on beIN Sports 11.
The best children's entertainment is all in one place. With 10 channels devoted to kids, beIN is the only place to be.
This is awesome!
Let your little ones play, interact,
I am legendary.
learn, and be entertained.
I just gotta know what's happening here.
As the beIN family grows bigger, your family grows happier. beIN. Be amazed.
We'll think of an idea to entertain everyone.
New Zealand versus Jordan. FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. Today. Live and exclusive on beIN Sports 13.
Well, it didn't work for Alec McLeish, although he made the move from Birmingham to Aston Villa.
That was different.
Current favourite to take the job at Aston Villa, where a vacancy, of course, occurred earlier in the week when Di Matteo was sacked, is Steve Bruce, who's managed Hull these last three and a half, 4 seasons. So there has been, Andy, time pass.
Absolutely. Time enough for me,
again,
anyway.
Football fans in England's second city, I'm sure, would still associate Steve with Birmingham.
Yeah, only, as I say, only until he won his first game as Villa coach.
Well, let's find out if that is indeed the case. Tom Ross, who we've spoken to on this programme many times down the years.
Who I've known for far too many years.
Midlands football expert, has got some thoughts on this matter. He's also published his own book recently, The Game's Gone. Great title. We'll talk about it in a moment.
Do you know, age can be a terrible thing.
It can.
We've just interviewed Cliff Jones, who's 81, and he looks better than Tom does.
I have to say, Andy, before you go, let me know where you get those mirrors you've got in your house. That must be great.
1-1, Tom.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm the drinking woman's George Clooney.
I don't know why we're even friends, me and Tom Ross. He supports Birmingham and Celtic. We couldn't be further apart.
Well, there you go, Tom. That's the conundrum that Villa have got. Would they dare go down this route of appointing another former Birmingham manager?
Well, the last time when Alex took over, you remember there were riots outside the ground. There was big protests. Hundreds and hundreds of fans turned up to protest. This time it's different because he's had 10 years away from Birmingham City. And I think he's more like, I don't buy into this. They love the club. Big Eck was Rangers. Steve Bruce is Manchester United. There's their affinity.
Yes.
And I think wherever else they are, they're just doing a job. I don't think it's an issue. And most Villa fans now would be quite happy, and I've done a poll on social media. A lot of them are very, very happy at Steve Bruce possibly being their next boss.
What do you think? Possibly.
Well, I think Steve's absolutely tailor-made because there's 2 jobs to be done here, and everybody keeps talking about, yeah, but can he do it in the Premier League? Can whoever takes over do it in the Premier League? They're not there yet. Job 1, get them out the Championship, which, by the way, is as tough as it's ever been this year. It really is a tough division. You need somebody tried, trusted, knows the division, who's going to get you out. Steve's got those credentials in full.
Yes, yes. And as far as surviving in the Premier League is concerned, Tom, he provided Sunderland with their only other top 10 finish following the departure of Peter Reid, and that was, what, in 94, 95? Yeah. So this is and Wigan's best ever finish as well. This is a guy who knows his way around.
I just wonder, though, Tom, I agree with you. I think if Steve went in there, I'd be absolutely delighted as a Villa man. But is there a likelihood that they might pull something out of left field again, like they did with Remy Gard?
Well, I know, and I know for a fact, they haven't contacted everybody that they're going to speak to. You know, apparently, if you believe what you read, the interviews will start next week. But I know for a fact that they haven't contacted everybody that they believe will be on their shortlist. They're checking out references as we speak to make sure that, everything's right. Then they'll go forward and contact the individual and get them in. So I just wonder whether or not, Steve Clarke might be in with a really good shout, because remember, they've spent £50 million of Dr. Tony's money. He knows those players and was party to them coming in as well. So whether or not that might be something that really is at the back of their mind. Most managers want to bring their own team. Will they give him a go? Dean Smith, everybody's talking about Dean Smith, big Villa fan. I don't know whether you have to be a Villa fan to show. I don't believe you do. Or Birmingham or anybody else be a fan. But Dean Smith's getting a lot of support at the moment for the job he's done. Him and Richard O'Kelly, wherever they've gone, have played good football and have been reasonably successful, but untried in the Championship. And that's apart from the fact that he's at Brentford now and doing okay. And they came to Villa recently under Dean Smith and played Villa off the park in the second half. Played them off the park.
Tom, in my opinion, the game's gone.
The game's gone, Tom.
Tell me about the theme of the book.
Well, because, and you won't like this, but the game has gone, and a lot of it's down to the money brought in by Sky TV. Now, that's Sky do a wonderful product, but the way they've taken over the game and the money that's come in, the consequence of that is that money is God now. Money is all that matters. You've got Karen Brady talking about the product, the product and the brand. I'm sorry, for us football fans, it's about more than that. I can start you with the academy system, which I would abolish tomorrow, the academy system, and go back to having young pros working with the first team and getting used to what's required. At the moment, you've got a lot of young kids coming into the game and they're not ready. They've got every trick in the book. They can do more step-overs than anybody. But are they ready for the step up to where it matters and winning points and keeping managers in jobs? I'm not sure they are. And I think they take time to adjust, which is why we've now got an under-23 league instead of an under-21. And we've got the nonsense of Premier League 2 teams being in the Trade Direct Trophy, for goodness sake. I mean, all to help the top teams. I'm sorry, there's more to the game than that. There's lots more, but, it's 35 years at BRMB and interviewing people like Andy, right the way through, and all the stories that go with that. It's a lot of fun as well, but also about the game and other things as well. It's been very well received so far.
Well, Tom, I'm sure that your thoughts will also be very well received.
Oh, by the way, now when you're talking about literally masterpieces,
Put that down.
Definitely is one.
There we go.
I'm going to take it back because the table in the dining room's still missing it.
Tom, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Tom.
Cheers, guys. God bless.
Tom Ross, when he says BRMB, that's a local radio station in Birmingham where for many years they've done a really good job.
Yeah, it was a fantastic radio
covering
station.
the Second City football.
It doesn't exist anymore, sadly.
No, well, that's also
moved
called
on.
progress, they say, or
so
perhaps evolution. Now, as well as there being few, if any, Brits managing in the UK right now, worldwide, there are very few, if any, Africans.
Yeah.
Less than double figures. Daniel Amokachi is one such African currently working.
Yeah.
The former Everton striker spent a lot of his time as assistant manager with Nigeria in recent years. Then the opportunity came up for Daniel to go and work in Finland at a strange little place called Oulu. I have to confess, I have been to Oulu, 175 miles south of the Arctic Circle. No, I went when Liverpool played a European Cup game there in the late 70s.
Wow.
So it leapt out at me, this story this week. It's very cold. As Daniel found out when he arrived, Daniel joins us from, as it happens, from Istanbul during this international break. But when you got to Finland, Daniel, what did you make of the weather?
Oh, do you really want to know?
Yes, we do.
A day before I traveled, me and my wife, we checked the weather focus, and it was minus 32, and she said, "Do you really want to go?" And I said, "Why not? I already made up my mind." And I arrived, it was minus 38. That's how freaking cold it was. Yeah.
But why did you take the job, Daniel?
Well, I think first of all, it's we Africans, we never get such kind of opportunity. And I'm a young manager, and I'm growing. I've spent about 8 seasons as an assistant with the national team, and it's a challenge that I think if I join the wagon train, probably it might end up helping me as a manager as a whole. And believe me, these 10 months that I spent in Finland with the semi-pro team made me become tactical and managerial strong as a manager.
What kind of level are we talking about in Finland, Daniel? How professional is it?
Well, the Finland, ice hockey is their #1 sport, and football in the first division is it's kind of a bit high, but at the same time in the Scandinavian region, definitely the Norwegian and the Danish are above all. But they're growing, every day. Like I did say earlier, the second division is a semi-pro league, but they have a lot of decent players and a lot of decent players coming in from Brazil and from Africa. So. With that going, probably the league will get better in the next couple of seasons more.
So, Daniel, how did it become evident to you that ice hockey was the #1 sport? What's the best example you can give us of that?
I arrived in Oulu, and I think a week later there was a Manchester derby, and I went to a sport cafe with the CEO of my team, Miko, and we sat down. It was jam-packed, and I thought everybody that was in there was there for the game, and we were watching the game, and suddenly it became empty, and just me, my CEO and 2 other Africans were sitting watching, and I said, what the hell is going on? And then the guy told me, what, you just came to Oulu? I said, yeah, I'm just a week here. He said, ice hockey is the #1. They're all here for the ice hockey. That's when it really sinked into me that what the hell did I get myself into?
Now, you're in Istanbul for a very good reason as well, watching your boys. What chances either or hopefully for you both got?
Well, they became 20 this year. They're twins, Nazim and Kalim. They're playing with the under-21 team with Besiktas. They're decent players, and skillful-wise, I think they're better than their dad. And I think they just need the heart of their dad to be a much better that they want to be. So I just hope my prayer is for them to be better and greater than Daniel and Makachi. So I hope and pray for that for them.
What positions, Daniel? Where do they play?
They're both front players. They like coming from the wings, and Kalim, that is a left footer, he prefers to be in the #9. But the way I see him is he kind of supporting, player. Yeah. A false #9 that is a left footer. He's very skillful. So I'm trying to see a manager that can, make him fit him to play that way, because he should be a more better player, being a false #9.
Well, you're right when you say talk about the heart of their dad. I mean, it's a real challenge you've taken on, Daniel. What next? Where do you see your career taking you after this?
I'll be in Oulu for the next season. The ambition why I definitely came, they have a very, very good ambition, and the ambition is in the next 5 years they should find themselves probably challenging in one of the European cups, either in the Europa or the Champions League, if they get promoted to the first division. But apparently this season we really struggled with the finance. Without finance, you can definitely not achieve in football. So, and we are all open for any sponsorship that are coming in, and we'll see how the next season turns out to be.
Well, we'll keep an eye on you, Daniel.
Yes.
And thanks for talking to us. Listen, enjoy the sunshine. It looks like a lovely day.
It is.
Tell me about it, man. I've been covering myself for the whole year. I need to show my sexy bike.
You're looking good, Daniel. You're looking good.
Thanks a lot, Andy. Keep doing a good job, and I love listening to you talk about football, guys. You keep doing your stuff.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel. Daniel Amokachi.
Right.
Manager in Finland these days, as I said, one of less than double digits from the African nation managing.
Yeah, good.
Let's hope he's blazing
Everyone
a
thinks
trail
it's easy, don't they? It's
someone else can follow. Well, I mean, good luck to him. -38. That place when I got there, trust me, I know it's cold.
Oh,
but good luck to him.
When do they work?
When do they work?
Must be out through
all
summer,
the time to keep warm.
I know, run about. But that's great. And he played at Everton, #9.
Yes, of course he did.
Centre forward, good lad.
Yeah. Thanks for your company, wherever in the world you've been watching. We will be back here same time next week. Trust that you will be there, and enjoy your sporting weekend.